as long as there's been television, there's been people on television selling you the latest and the greatest. One of a kind, never been seen before, mind-blowing must-have item.
Oh, and
but does it ever really deliver?
Remember how the growth stop sell-off started a long time ago,
a few years
back in
ago?
November? Do you know that Netflix traded as high as $700?
In the
This company with huge pricing power and a full set of content coming out post-COVID had a stock down 50% at its lows last week. 50%, that was cut in half.
What was supposed to be the can't-miss party of the millennium turned out to be a catastrophe. The models that were promised never showed up. The gourmet food they advertised turned out to be something from a school cafeteria.
See what happens when you let two 10-points ride around with each other out there.
Even ended up in jail. But PR scams like this, they've been around. New Coke was hailed as the future of soda and was going to take the beverage world by storm in the 1980s. Well, that didn't work. Just a few months later, they were back to the classic.
Chicken noodle soup.
And how about the
Campbell's.
Segway? Once billed as the most revolutionary change to transportation since the horse and buggy, became nothing more than a punchline in bad movies.
How long can this go?
Kind of Warhol. Nice and cool.
Stocks have to deal with supply chain semiconductor COVID worries they remain knotty. Plus, there's been a virtual shutdown in the IPO pipeline, filled with all sorts of software as a service analytics companies to save time and labor with real-time
most of these marketing failures have little consequence.
They're now being bashed left and right.
Most of the wrong people still get paid, but at least they leave the scene of the crime.
Or sells next to
but
nothing.
That same thing can't be said about
First time I heard this is about industrials having a hard time.
The new Coke of politics. In 2018, AOC was the fresh face on the block after she upset longtime Democrat incumbent Congressman Joe Crowley.
Of course.
The media
Of course.
Beat and raise will always take precedence. I want companies that make things that make a lot of money.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she is the hottest ticket
You don't understand why I watch.
And I'm sure some industrials have been able to
Something Chase said nothing at all. Some seat, maybe you're going to talk about Penzo actions and Coles, right?
She's 29 years old. She is a woman, she is Hispanic, and most importantly, she represents this fusion of movement politics and electoral politics that seems to be where the energy on the left
Any
is
terminal
right now.
that you do, it takes a little bit of wind talker to do both of these guys, as to which.
But her quick rise to the top wasn't an accident. She was a planned, packaged, and
or when to play sharps about certain graph hazards here. Hopefully you've played today, and you can see why I'd let some things go that are common indexes, the crime policy across the board, about a few things, some China numbers, Biden, Hunter numbers in terms of what it is. And then there's some new parts, there's some things that are really... She hadn't been out for a while. Probably said something dumb, did something dumb.
After realizing his product's potential, he decided he'd run her campaign. He cast her, she won, and then he named himself her chief of staff. So it's safe to say that with Chaka Barati writing the script, AOC was making noise on the left.
They're different family friends, different math problems for newlies that'll give you a business index to see how it's playing, like when you ask for a photon, see where the light is, see some transitory cyclical you didn't know, the trick for how that chainsaw is supposed to be used in the mill compared to the outside, or just a landscaper trimming or carving a grizzly bear.
Once her
What do they all have in
mastermind and
common?
chief of staff exited in August 2019.
And if they can't do that in board meetings for 1-1-1 leadership conversations or brief demonstrations, usually what they'll do across the board, because it's short picking around Salty, about Salty's reasoning for not in the Millie's office, what the you doing?
Never goes viral anymore. Her timing and wit vanished with her chief of staff. Was he AOC's
Fun to get out there and
Oz?
address, play the game of the college fund, because you can pay it
Most
back.
people no longer
You
care
can
what
pay it
AOC
back,
has to say
even
about
if you
healthcare
could pay
while she
back
makes dinner in her
the
little apartment.
system to do what it needs to
And when
do,
she's
but that
pressed
doesn't mean
on
you
real
hold it out
issues,
based on
she
how
has
you
no
play the
real
market
answers.
and can pay that back.
Medicare for all
Usually
would
because I don't
save
get
the
sick, you'd be
American
able to take
people
care of
a
somebody
very
in my
large
lot
amount of money.
that
Why
would
aren't we
shuffle off a
incorporating
more
the cost
direct
of all the
line for
funeral
at least
expenses
timelines short of me
those
getting
who
hurt.
die because they can't
And
afford
you want to
access
keep the
to
OSHA
healthcare? We look
policies
at
to
these
what that
figures and
is,
say,
not
oh,
just in the
unemployment
mill
is
for the
low,
safety
everything
vest
is
you have to
fine,
wear,
right?
but the
Well,
888
unemployment is
terracotta
low
army
because
hunt
everyone has
stuff
two
you got to
jobs.
do
We
with
use
this,
the
with the
term
dog
occupation
kid
of Palestine
light bill, it's all in one roster for the contract if you're going to sign on that loop and run that cycle inside the fucking MOS chip.
Like the settlement.
No matter what college index you go.
In fact, did AOC run for Congress just to be famous? She's on the red carpet
Change your housing, takes hot mad pixies and changes them into something. I've seen this a million times walking the lunch line. It doesn't matter. You leave your shit home, leave it at work.
Since taking over New York's
unless there's an absolute reason why it's coming up on there, which might come at board meetings every once in a while. Otherwise, try to keep it at that.
Pushing as many as 40,000 jobs out of the area.
A lot of things didn't need to be changed.
Jobs that were sorely needed at that district. Wages are down.
Well, we have soldiers. We have a way to pick people and train people and do things inside of there, especially with the prison system. But you use Delhi County in prison as a standard to not train them anything, or to recycle into a time program of the crucible of the renormalization on the list. You're protected. Get off that list. You're not. And inside of the training timeline for the calculus and maintaining that area at the civilian limit, once you have the law in that position in the NP order, you probably wouldn't want to give it up in that system, would you?
Can you tell me who represents you in Congress?
It would be hard to factor that stuff out.
Does AOC sound familiar?
In business, what's...
Hello. Never heard of her. Who's AOC?
What would you say AOC stands for?
I never heard of this. It's cut out because I'm all busy.
Maybe
I miss a fact
AOC
or
stands
something.
for democracy, basically.
You believe in democracy, don't you?
What do you think AOC stands for?
Again,
Michelle?
when we do take the tax out of this place's house for the whole thing, you would expect all those come together, numbers you know, before it cuts off to the tanks or javelin missiles going over to Ukraine.
What would you say AOC has done for
Because it's got to cut off some kind of partial share, so you take the population, start running the numbers, and you'd say, okay.
I'm not really too sure.
And the people are kind of...
AOC, she killed 40,000 Amazon jobs that could have come to this community. Do you support that? Yes, I do.
Whoa. How could you even say that?
It wasn't necessarily a bad thing. There's a lot of jobs here already.
She didn't kill it out of, mean-spiritedness.
Maybe not. There's a lot of people that needs jobs.
Individual, if people are working already, why do you care if new jobs come in? Because it'll steal your basic labor. How high were you on that, where that system would make sense to you? It's like, well, more jobs for me in the region.
I haven't heard anything
more access to stuff. If I can drive there and get to it and keep it in the lot, why would it make a difference? What would it kill in town in terms of Amazon? It's going to make that prime time supply chain better.
Things are a lot more expensive here in Queens, so do you think AOC is doing anything to help the rise in prices?
I hope they are. Do I see it? No. It's obviously expensive.
I mean, it's one banana, Michael. What could it cost? $10?
If you could tell your congresswoman something, what would you say?
Well, that's what you see, kid.
I will vote for you in 2004 AP.
That's why you gotta hang with boxing. Some of these players at the coin level winds up all for the cigar in and doing some SCP stuff about the 32. That those assholes think it is, but obviously so disconnected in terms of what it actually be. You need some gatekeeper. It's like, it's the players I play, and I'm fast and loose. I'm a one-man, set it up, do a space camp, and let's dance.
Even her own voters can't come
and you're
up
gonna
with
pick
any
out
answers on how she's combating the out-of-control crime in New York City, or how she's working to fight the surging inflation they're dealing with. This is because AOC is among the least productive members of Congress. She's sponsored 34 bills in Congress.